welcome. This is the first episode of Toronto Sports Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Charles Cowie-Wright, here with my other host,
Alex Ricci.
And we're joined with our favorite, most handsome man in the world,
Gavin Gill.
All right.
Man.
So the whole idea, I don't know, do you want to give the rundown for the idea of the show, Alex? Just for the first episode here.
Yeah, so we're all just sports fans from the Toronto area. And, there's a lot of sports media in Toronto, and not all of it we really agree with. So we've decided to make our own Toronto sports media.
We're here to bring our takes and just our opinions on certain things, bring up news. And the other point of this show is that I have looked in the Toronto area for a show that talks about what I want to hear, which is mainly the Maple Leafs and Blue Jays, while also covering other sports like the NBA, tennis, golf tournaments, the NFL, and the Premier League. So, we're here to kind of bring that all together in one show. And also, I want to try and not dwell on things that aren't too important, because I feel like there's a lot of speculation and a lot of, I've listened to Sportsnet cover whether someone having something for lunch on the Leafs is going to affect their game time status, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I wanted this show to be a little to the point, and I think our passion for sports is gonna send us through. I hope we do a good job with it. So
absolutely.
So yeah, we're here with Gavin to kind of spearhead talk on the NBA and the Premier League, because as much as we love them, we only have so much time in the world. So,
same with I
don't know, what are you gonna run everyone down with, just to give
the
an
NBA
overview?
so far? Raptors won tonight.
No. Just very general. What are you gonna be talking about later when we get there?
Generally, just talking about specific rumors before the trade deadline over different Raptor players and other big name players around the league, and how it may affect the NBA and our team as the Raptors maybe, or just the whole league in general. And with the Premier League, personally, I am a Manchester United fan.
Yeah, the worst team ever.
No. They are gonna go places for sure.
It's easy to say that when they're in second place?
Yeah.
Anyways, I just want to give a quick rundown on the first episode. We're gonna go over the big events happening this week. We're gonna go on with what's happening with the Maple Leafs, what's happening with the Blue Jays. I want to talk a bit about the Australian Open, because that's a big deal and it just happened. And I woke up to watch it, so I'm kind of invested. Then we're gonna go on with the Raptors, the NFL, and the Premier League. So that's the show today. Should we just get into it?
Yeah. We'll just start with hockey. So as you guys might know, the All-Star event is happening this weekend. The skills competition took place today. Not that important of an event, it's more just for the players to have fun and
get some laughs,
just
some giggles.
Yeah,
some giggles.
exactly. The
It's in Miami.
Mascots get out there and they do things like hardest shot competition and breakaway, all that fun stuff.
Penalty shootouts too.
But
stuff.
the main event, the All-Star game, is happening tomorrow, and
what is it? 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. starts?
I think so.
Eastern.
Yeah.
Just for reference, we're always talking in Eastern time.
Yeah.
So just so we don't need to clarify that again. Do you have anything to talk about with the All-Star game, roster updates, all that stuff? Just really quick, because I know people aren't generally too worried about the All-Star events, but
yeah,
we kind of have to cover it.
Yeah, so in the Atlantic Division, all right, I'll just do a quick rundown of notable players and certain lineups that I think would make a difference. So Atlantic Division's got Pasternak, From Buffalo, it was Tage Thompson. Unfortunately, he got injured, so now they're sending in Rasmus Dahlin, who is probably the best defenseman in the league this season. Might be up for debate, but
the best defenseman, I would have to go Timothy Liljegren on that one.
Yeah, that's a good take.
I'm good.
But yeah, they've also got Linus Ullmark and Vasilevsky in net, so that's a pretty dangerous duo there. They've got Kucherov, and then most importantly, they got Eminem, Matthews, and Marner.
Okay.
The dream team
well,
right there.
Matthews, just to clarify, is actually hurt, so he won't be going, right?
Really?
Yeah, he's hurt. You don't know Matthews is hurt?
No, I know he's hurt. I thought he was...
You wouldn't go to the All-Star game if he's hurt.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, no,
My bad.
Matthews isn't going to be there.
Okay. Who did they replace him with?
I don't know who they replaced him with, actually. But there's not actually... Just for clarification, you guys, there's not much information on All-Star rosters, Pro Bowl, and NHL. They're kind of quiet about it until the day it happens. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But I heard on the West... Who's going for the West? Who's going for Vegas? Just for some context, we're all Leaf fans here, but I also really do like the Vegas Golden Knights, which I know lots of people hate, so you can leave that all in the comments. And I will just not read any of it.
So unfortunately, the only Vegas player that is going is goalie Logan Thompson.
Yeah.
No Mark Stone, no Eichel.
Stone's injured.
Yeah, so none of the big guys for Vegas. Thompson's been decent this season.
He's been good, yeah. For a backup goalie, replacing Robin Leonard.
He's been really good.
He's been really good. It's a similar situation with what's happening in Toronto, where you've got Matt Murray being paid around $4 million, right?
Yeah.
That his contract, and then Samsonov being paid, not minimum, right? Is he being paid like 1.2?
Something like that.
But very
under
close
$2
to
million.
minimum.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he steps up. I think he's the 5th best goaltender as far as save percentage goes in the last month.
Yeah.
And we're talking the whole league, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, he's really stepped up.
Sammy's been doing for us.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so is there anything else notable about the All-Star game?
Yeah, just one interesting thing. So Bo Horvat got traded to the Islanders from the Canucks, but he will still represent the Canucks. Actually, no, my bad. He's representing the Islanders in the All-Star game, but he will be in the Pacific Division, which is a little bit confusing.
How does that work?
He's going to be on the Pacific team, but he's going to be wearing an Islanders reverse retro jersey.
Interesting. Weird.
So yeah, that must...
what are the reverse retros again? Is it just their
it's
normal
the Fisherman.
Oh, the Fisherman.
Yeah.
So this is an audio podcast, obviously, so we can't show you, but anyone that follows hockey closely would know this jersey. It's kind of controversial, and I know they wore it for 2 years in the 90s.
Yeah.
And everyone hated them. And
I think it's great.
I don't mind the jersey.
I love that jersey.
There's a lot of logos, if we're talking jerseys quickly, that I don't really understand the hate for.
Yeah.
My favorite reverse retro. Do you have one?
This year,
I'm curious.
I don't know. Like, I like the Leafs one, just how clean it is. It's not my favorite because it's not super creative, but
I got a picture of them here. The Rangers one is pretty nice. The Liberty one and the St. Louis one. Oh man, I don't want to get too on this because this isn't news, but
the Coyote is
always. The Arizona one is probably the best one. The Arizona one is fresh.
This year and last year.
Do you have a take on that, Gavin?
They're great.
What's your favorite logo? Do you want to give the update still, Alex? Just keep going.
Let's see.
Yeah.
What was the Islander one you were talking about?
The Islander one is where is that one? It's over there. Yeah. See, it's a little fisherman guy.
Yeah.
That's the Islanders.
I don't quite know why that's so offensive. Cause
no, it's not offensive. People just don't like
people
it.
Just didn't like it.
It's not offensive. Yeah.
That's why it's controversial, just because of people.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The Seattle one's funny because it's just the S
Yeah.
logo because they're a new team.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
Vegas tried something different. The glow in the dark is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I've always liked the Leaf jersey.
The Maple Leaf one.
Yeah.
The Leafs
I think it's
jersey
really clean.
is
It's
slept
clean.
I think personally, if I was the owner of the Leafs organization, I would make that reverse retro either an alternate or I'd just make that the home jersey. It's so nice looking.
There's something about the Leafs
And-
jersey, bro, that I would honestly have to say that just their current jerseys,
They're just classic.
they're classic, and people get tired of them and say that they're not their favorite because these days everyone's used to something new.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a totally different design, this, that. And it's like, if
thing
we're
is,
thinking
if you-
hockey,
If you overdo it, you're gonna hate it at the
it
end.
becomes a fashion contest. And that's
Yeah.
not what it is, right? Like, we're talking classic original six team. And I think the Leafs killed it in that way.
Yeah.
There's some that I don't like. The Detroit one, I think, that just says Detroit.
Yeah, the
is
reverse retro is
so
kinda-
bad in my
That's
opinion.
pretty bad.
Same with the Chicago one. It's basically the
Yeah.
same. But I want to get off jerseys because
Yeah.
that's not news and that's not new.
Yeah. All right. Just one last thing in the All-Star game that I thought was notable. Erik Karlsson. You know, after seasons of people calling him a washed-up player, he's appearing in his 7th All-Star game, which is
Carlson's with San Jose.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is really impressive. You know, he was a really prominent offensive defenseman early in his career with Ottawa, and then he got traded to San Jose, and then he wasn't as good as he was before, but this year he's just been absolutely insane.
Yeah, you gotta love him. You got the jersey.
Yeah, so we'll see how the All-Star game goes tomorrow. And yeah, it should be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, it should be fun enough. I remember last time me and Alex got together to watch, and then we like turned it off halfway through,
Yeah.
and then we went out and got coffee. So
Yeah.
you never know. I'm not trying to offend any hockey fans, but I just find that since it's not worth anything,
Yeah.
that it's not that good or important, and they don't try. And we'll touch more on that with the NFL because that's an even better example. They're playing flag football.
Yeah,
Which
that's,
is like, are you serious? But we'll cover that later. Anyways, is that all the All-Star game talk?
That's pretty much all the All-Star stuff.
I want to move on to the last week of the Leafs, what they've been
Yeah.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just to run over the scores for everyone, we had a loss against the Ottawa Senators on Friday last week. And just for context, we record these on Friday so
Yeah.
people know what day it is when we're referencing things. And then they had a big win against the Capitals at home, which was nice because the last time, I don't know if you guys remember, but Samsonov was scared to go play in
Yeah.
in Washington, and that was his excuse for losing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that was concerning. I don't know what your guys' takes are on this, and feel free to disagree because that makes it more interesting. But if you are scared to go play in frickin' Washington in a regular season game that doesn't matter at all, how are we ever going to stand a chance in the playoffs? We
Yeah.
need a good goalie. Last year, I'm convinced that Tavares goal in the 7th game of the
Yeah.
first round against Tampa Bay was a good goal. And
Yeah.
I say like the Leafs were that close to winning with Jack Campbell. If Samsonov can give us even a slightly better chance, we're getting past the first round this year.
Yeah.
Definitely, from what I see them in the playoffs, technically, the Leafs are a good team with their different skills and technicality of how they move the puck with each other and stuff like that. But what they do miss every year I see them in the playoffs is the physicality.
I was gonna say,
and the
that's a
mental
really good
toughness to get through that.
They do not have.
Right.
They're a small team.
No one in that team I have seen stand up in that department besides Austin Matthews.
I just want to
last
say
year.
before we talk about this, because we can talk about this for a while.
Yeah.
The last score from last week, the Leafs lost to the Bruins on Wednesday 5-2, which I blame on 7 Samsonov starts in a row.
Yeah.
He was a backup goalie, and his glove side was not very good. Every goal went on his glove side, but I think they just need to shake that one off. That's a good Boston team. We've beat them before, and we can beat them again. And they're only getting older, and I think they're giving it their all when it doesn't matter, and they're going to be tired when the playoffs come. That's my take. You never know. I might be wrong. I thought Marchand stirring the pot a little bit before the game was pretty funny. I'm not going to be salty about it like a lot of Leaf fans.
No, it's always fun.
Marchand, if he was a Leaf, I would love him. The only thing I disagree with is the licking.
Yeah,
but
that's in the past.
That's in the past. If we had Marchand, we love him. So respect to Marchand for just like keeping things interesting for everyone. Yeah. And he called Marner's skates bad, and they are bad. Did you see them? Yeah. They're bad.
They're
everyone go look up a picture of Marner's All-Star skates if you want to see what we're talking about. And in big news, Auston Matthews is out with a knee problem or something.
Not entirely sure exactly what it was, but
he went out after the Capitals game? Was that when it was, or was it the Sens?
I don't think he was in the Capitals game.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah, it was the Senders.
So he's gonna miss about 5 more games after the All-Star break.
Yeah. So it's pretty doable.
Not the end of the world.
Honestly, they have I think 19 games in February.
Yeah.
Which is not very many for most regular seasons. Or wait, not 19.
No, not 19.
They have all I'm saying is in the next week they have 1 game.
Yeah.
And it's 1 week today.
Yeah.
Like they don't play very much. They play Columbus. They have a back-to-back against Columbus next weekend.
Yeah.
And then they've got, who do they have? I wrote this down. They've got the Blackhawks on the 15th, and they've got the Canadians for Saturday night.
Yeah.
That weekend. So it's not too crazy. And that'll give Matthews a lot of time to heal. And honestly, with the work that Marner has been putting in, really kind of captaining that team with Tavares, I don't think we need to be too worried.
No, the team...
And they're in second place.
Yeah, and with the... with the 5-1 win against the Capitals without Matthews, clearly, they've proved that they're not going to let his injury slow down the rest of the team. Especially when you've got, again, Marner and Tavares, again, having great seasons, and especially my personal favorite Leaf, William Nylander's having the season of his career. He leads the team in points, leads the team in goals.
Bro, this season, the core four has shown up more than we've ever seen before, and they're an unstoppable force. And every once in a while, you'll see an off night from the lower guys like Camp, Engvall, Kerfoot.
Kerfoot's just been a constant.
He's been on the down.
Not great.
But speaking on Kerfoot, because there's been a lot of talk about him, and Riley.
Yeah.
2 big names that have been disappointing a bit this year. I think the Leafs should stick by them. And I don't know, if they got rid of someone like Kerfoot at the deadline and we got some more cap space with Muzzin being out and who else is out? We have a lot of money to work with at the deadline.
So I actually just I just read something today. If we were to trade Kerfoot, I don't know exactly what it was, but there's some infraction there that would actually prevent us from using Muzzin's salary cap to pick up a new player. I don't know.
How much money would that give us? What, Kerfoot and Muzzin, you're saying?
Yeah,
Muzzin's being paid about 6.5 if I remember correctly, and Kerfoot's being paid around 2.
I think Muzzin's 5.5.
We would have about $9 million, bro.
No, but what I read is if we trade Kerfoot, we can't use Muzzin's cap space. There's some technicality.
Some rule?
Yeah. So for the sake of using Muzzin's cap space, it's probably best the Leafs hold on to Kerfoot.
Kerfoot. All I wanted to bring this up for is that Kerfoot is a good player, and we've seen him do it before. I remember when the Kraken joined the league and they were potentially looking at taking him, and they took the guy from Pittsburgh, McCann. And that was a good move from Dubas to basically not lose anyone. We didn't get McCann, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We don't need him. The
He's
Leafs
been
have
having a
just
pretty
as
good
good of a
season.
shot as anyone else. I think people focus a little too much on the down. That's another thing I want to do with this show, is really put things in perspective with the rest of the league. Because we could sit here and complain about the Leafs, complain they lost to Boston, but once they get into a playoff position, which they're in right now,
Yeah.
and once we get into May, when they start up,
Yep.
they have just as good of a shot as anyone. We saw Montreal get into the finals.
They just need to stay mentally tough.
And you know what? I think, and I know it's easy to say the opposite of this, but we have just as good of a shot as anyone. And if you look at Marner and Matthews, they're phenomenal players.
Yeah.
And I think, especially Marner, being from Toronto, growing up a Leaf fan, watching those
Right.
losses, I think he knows what it takes to be a Leaf. And I think Matthews is surrounded by good people and seems like a good guy. They all gel so well. And I think this is just a good year for them. And if Samsonov can keep up
Yeah.
the good goaltending he's been doing for us, and maybe we get lucky and Matt Murray comes back, doesn't get injured around playoff time, and can play steady, I'm not expecting Vasilevsky performances from them.
No.
We've seen the Leafs do well in the playoffs with Campbell in net.
Yeah.
And Campbell was nothing special, right? We see what he's doing in Edmonton right now.
Yeah.
And I hope they have fun paying him all that money. And I'm glad that we aren't. And to speak on Riley, I think Riley is getting a little too much undeserved hate. And it has nothing to do with him getting married. He's not distracted. It's just like sometimes guys have a rough stretch.
And especially after injury as well. You know,
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
Riley is a good player, and Riley is Riley's a part of that core. You know,
Yeah.
you can't tell me Riley's not a Maple Leaf.
He is.
When you
for
think of
sure.
the Leafs, you think of Matthews, Marner, Riley, and Tavares, and then Nylander, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Right? I would honestly, I know Nylander's a great player, but I would put Riley in the. If I had to pick four guys, I'd put Riley in instead of Nylander.
Yeah, O'Reilly is probably
been there.
he's one of the most natural leaders that Toronto has ever seen. He is the definition of like a team player, great locker room guy.
Yeah.
Just like his heart is like fully with the team.
Well, one thing I've noticed with this organization and what Dubas has been doing that I love is that he stands by his guys. He doesn't throw anyone under the bus. They take care of drama in-house, which a lot of media like Sportsnet, TSN, tries to get a rise out of guys. They keep a pretty good care of that. The only exception was Marner earlier this season when they were talking about how they were a bit upset with Dubas publicly. They shouldn't have been doing that, but I think these guys have a lot of chemistry. I think everyone can see that. It's very evident, kind of like what we're having with the Blue Jays. Although I would argue the Blue Jays have even more chemistry, but I'm not worried. That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to sum that up. And yeah, like we said, the next games are February 10th and 11th against the Blue Jackets, and then February 15th against the Blackhawks. That's what we'll be covering on the next show. Does anyone have any closing thoughts on the Leafs?
Just gotta stay strong, man.
They just gotta stay strong.
Yeah, I mean, just back to the physicality aspect.
Yeah.
Just for 1 second.
Yeah.
They have been noticeably a bit more physical this season than they were last season.
They just have to keep it up, man.
Specifically, Rasmus Sandin. I think he either leads the team in hits or he's second or something. But when he's on his game, he's phenomenal.
I saw him hitting. He's not even huge, but he
He's
gives
not a
it
big
his all,
guy,
bro.
but he finishes his hits.
I saw him against Boston, checking
Yeah.
like Pasternak into the corner.
He's just not scared, you know.
It's awesome. He's not scared. Yeah.
Even earlier in the season, when somebody took a bit of a cheap shot at Matthews, Sandin just went right in there, through the gloves.
I think another big point on physicality for the Leafs is Wayne Simmons.
Yeah.
He's been so helpful coming back. That guy gets sit constantly, and when they put him in and put him on a mission, say, hey, we need you to go after this guy and that guy plays with a fire under
Yeah.
him, bro. Simmons, is one of the most passionate Leafs out there on the ice with Bunting and Sandin and Giordano, bro.
Yeah.
Giordano, I can't say enough good things about him. He
We
stands
could
up for that
spend
team
hours
so
just
well. We
talking
could go on
about
this forever.
how great of a value we got with that guy.
Giordano is the best. And what do we have him for, another year after
We have him
this
for another
season?
year, and if he wants to keep playing, I'm sure we'll
We'd love to take
re-sign
him for
again.
the hometown discount.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we move on to baseball.
Yeah, sounds good. Do you want to let me spearhead this a little bit,
Yeah.
and then you guys can talk?
Yeah, sure.
So, I just wanted to start with talking about the upcoming preseason. All the guys are headed to Dunedin pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are already there. They're practicing. We've seen video of a lot of the guys at the Blue Jays kind of tour, the Vancouver tour, and Toronto, where they kind of go around and do some fan service, meet some kids, and do a lot of community involvement. So basically the point of bringing this up is we've been starting to see signs of life from the Blue Jays again. And throughout this offseason, there's been a lot of good moves, notably Chris Bassett. I'm very excited to see him from the Mets. And personally, I follow the Mets on the national side just because I like to have a team on the National League. Not that I'm too happy with how much money they've been spending. They've been outbidding everyone for every player, and their payroll is double the Blue Jays, which is ridiculous. The Blue Jays are up to the salary cap before you need to pay a tax right now. But the Jays have been making it work. Bassett is a good pick for a starting pitcher. We've gotten a lot of relief. I'm not going to name everyone, but the Jays just signed Chad Green, who is a right-handed pitcher from the Yankees. And I think we've got him till 2024 and then options to sign him longer through 25 and 26. So we'll see what he can do. I'm just hoping that they are picking up the right guys and not making desperation moves. Because we've seen a bit of that from the Blue Jays. We've seen them bring up some questionable guys. But all in all, I would say last season wasn't because of any questionable decisions. Things didn't work. The first game where Manoah comes in, he was definitely rattled. You could tell he let up, 3 or 4 runs in the first 2 innings. And then he settled and he was on fire. And I think personally, I think Manoah's your guy for game 1 this year.
Oh, absolutely.
This coming season, because he knows what it takes now. He's had that experience. And he's a dog, bro.
Yeah.
They got to pay Manoah, and they got to keep him because it is hard to get guys like him.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the best starting pitchers in the entire MLB.
Absolutely. And
There's
he's
Justin
only
Verlander
how old is he?
and a few guys. The guy in the Yankees, the cheater, Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yankee fans, but he is. How old is he? I think he's early 20s.
Yeah, he's so young, and he's already proven that he's competing with the top pitchers in the league, and he's only getting better. So I just wanted to touch up on the questionable pickups by the Jays. A lot of
this
people
offseason?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like the Dalton Varsho trade.
Did Tapia go in that?
It was Moreno and
Moreno was the number 1.
Yeah, so a lot of people didn't like that, which is very valid. I don't know if I like it yet. We won't really know until the season starts.
We have to see these guys.
We have to see them. But yeah, one thing that I did notice, what they're trying to do with that trade is build a more well-rounded team. Last season in the league, the Jays were, I don't know exactly, but they were almost dead last in hitting at the bottom of the zone.
Hitting when people are in scoring position. That was that stat, right?
No, it was when fastballs,
low balls.
Yeah, low balls. They were really bad at that last season compared to the league average. Whereas Dalton Varsho was well above league average in that scenario. So as much as it sucks to give up Moreno, who, he's probably going to go on to be...
He was the best minor league baseball
Yeah.
prospect from last year, but I will say Moreno, I think, is 21, and Kirk is 22. So the difference in age, people talk about Moreno like he's some kid, and then they talk about Kirk as if he's just a normal Blue Jay, which he is. But they're basically the same age, and Kirk is an amazing hitter. I'm sure he's going to come back, and Kirk's a good catcher. Manoah likes him, and Manoah's our guy.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to keep a guy like Kirk, and with Kirk and Jansen, like, we're set. As good as Moreno is, my take on it is we don't need Moreno.
Yeah.
Someone else can have him. That's fine. And Moreno's play calling in the MLB was horrible.
Yeah.
So bad. When he was catching, pitchers didn't know what to do with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he also didn't have a good read on opposing teams, which I don't blame him. He's young.
Yeah, young
He hasn't
guy.
played in the MLB. He's not supposed to know all that. But with a guy like Kirk in there and Jansen, who could be more of a mentor, and he's also just very capable.
Yeah.
It sets the Blue Jays up really well, I think.
Yeah. And, those guys already have so much chemistry with, like the core pitchers.
Yeah. And they want to win now, right? We don't want to wait for Moreno.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with Bichette. He's avoiding arbitration. I just want to get into this. The Jays agreed to terms to continue with Biggio, Espinal, Vladdy, Simber, Richards, Romano, Swanson, Trent Thornton, and of course Varsho, Meza, and Danny Jansen. So a lot of big names, excluding Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
And people can say what they will about Bichette. In my opinion, that stupid play calling he did last year in the playoffs cost us the game.
It did.
I think it was all Bichette's fault, and I know that's controversial. Some may disagree with me and say, oh, he was doing whatever. I don't know what their argument is, and I'm open to hearing it. But I think Bichette cost them that series because they were up 7 runs, and I was almost ready to turn it off because it was over. It's like, oh, they're up 7 runs, and obviously I'm not because I'm a huge fan. I want to watch them.
Yeah.
But the game was over, and then Bichette dropped the ball, crashed into George Springer, took him down. He got sent out on a little trolley.
Yeah. So even if
we continued, we'd have no Springer.
we wouldn't have. Who is the best playoff producer we have on the team?
He's clutch. He did it with Houston. People can say what they will about the cheating, but he's a good hitter, and we've seen it.
Yeah.
He has so many leadoff home runs. It's ridiculous. I think he's second or first. Probably second. But you can't take out Springer, and I don't blame them for losing that game. I don't blame the rest of the team for losing that second playoff game because Bichette screwed them from that moment.
It was a bad play to make,
but
honestly.
All in all, he's young and he'll learn from it, and I know that we can say that forever and there's always an excuse, but Bichette is going to come in this season. I think he's going to work really hard. He's a passionate player.
He's definitely going to take accountability.
He's going to take accountability
and be better for sure.
And
because he has time to gain experience.
Yeah, he's young, exactly. There's no need to worry about Bichette. And I think if we gave him up, yes, he's not the best defensively. As a shortstop, if we still had Simeon, I would pick him. Right now, I don't know. I would not put Espinal there.
Yeah.
But I think if Bichette puts in some more work defensively, his offense in September was ridiculous, but let's not shy away from the fact that in the earlier parts of the season, he was a little slow, and I'd like to see him and Vlad stepping it up more early this season, because as much as people like to say wins don't matter earlier in the season, it only matters when it gets later, it's a whole process. Each win, mathematically, is just as important as the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't get to an 100-win season like we're striving for and have had with these guys if you don't take each and every game seriously. And we're playing a lot of new teams this year. The MLB is having us play all National League teams. Not home and away, just we get to meet them all once. So we're going to be seeing less of the Orioles, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rays. And we're going to be seeing more of teams that we don't normally see, like the Mets, who have double our salary. So they need to be taking this stuff seriously.
Got to remain consistent throughout the entire season.
Yeah, they need to work hard.
Any inconsistency throughout the season, it'll definitely mess up their chances.
One thing I will say about the Blue Jays is they put in the work. When they lose, I still feel like they tried very hard to win. The odd time it's just a pitcher like Kikuchi screws them from the beginning. But compared to the Leafs, who come out against a team like Arizona, Montreal, you name it, just pick any team in the bottom 20 to 32 teams, and the Leafs come out there like they didn't even show up for work that day.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays don't do that. If they lose, they just lost, and they tried. And baseball is a game of luck as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of percentages involved and odds of hitting a ball. It's not all luck, obviously, but I understand when they mess up a little bit more. And I know that hockey has odds too, but we're not getting into that.
Yeah.
So
I think that for both these teams, they need to stay consistent throughout, especially near the end of their seasons, to be successful.
Yeah.
That's the main issue that they're dealing with, and that is also the most important thing for both of these teams. They're both really young, exciting teams to watch, but the experience that they're gaining from the losses and such and silly mistakes, for example, the Bo Bichette catch and everything, like Kerfoot missing a puck that's clearing out into the defensive end and such.
Yeah.
Those
or a penalty
small
shot.
things need to be taken accounted for. We cannot afford to mess up like that if they want
to be a serious team, right?
Yeah.
You saw the Yankees last year. Yeah. And yes, they lost in the playoffs, but let's just talk about the season. The Yankees were a force to be reckoned with. There was no one beating those guys.
No one.
And we went in, and we had some good moments against the Yankees, right? Vladdy with 3 home runs in Yankee Stadium, and the My House celebration for Vlad at the end of the season. Gavin, we were at that game, the walk-off win. So there was some good moments, and we're going to just have to see how this all shakes up. The pitching rotation, as I know of it right now, what is it? We got Manoah, Berrios, what's the new guy? Bassett. And then we would have, who else starting? Come on. Manoah, Berrios. They got Kikuchi in a spot.
Simber, Richards.
No. Starting rotation. Come on. This guy's probably like the most... I probably love this guy. I just can't think of his name.
Oh, Chapman. Not Chapman.
Starting pitchers.
Gosman.
Yeah, Gosman. Yeah, that's the stoner. Yeah, we love Gosman. So, as long as Gosman doesn't tip his pitches this year, we'll be fine.
But,
do you have any more on the Blue Jays?
I was just going to recap the importance of the regular season. If anyone remembers how the 2020-2021 season ended. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, well, just if, in case any listeners don't know what happened, they missed the playoffs by 1 win, which just shows that if you lose 1 game and you think, oh, it's fine, it's not fine. They need to take these games seriously. There's 162, I think. But each one is very important. Yeah. So I'm excited for the upcoming season. I'm excited for preseason. Again, it starts on February 25th against the Pirates. I think that is at 3 p.m. And then we've got the Yankees, the Braves, the Phillies, a lot of fun stuff. It should be interesting. I really hope in one of those early games we get a look at Bassett. Maybe he can pitch a few innings of a game. I am excited and very nervous to see Kikuchi. I hope he's been putting in some work, but my God, was that guy bad.
Yeah.
I really hope he can do well. In other news on pitching, Ryu might be back from Tommy John in July. So that's still a while away, but, it's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And then as far as MLB season changes, I just wanted to run these by everyone because the MLB is just like a GTA lobby where you can do anything and nothing matters. You can cheat, no one cares. But in the 2023 season, there is going to be a pitch timer. I believe it's 15 seconds. They were doing that in the minors. A pickoff limit, so you can't just keep getting guys that are trying to steal. The shift restrictions are going to change. There's going to have to be 2 players on either side of the second base. That's what I believe the rule is exactly. And there's going to be bigger bases allowing for more stealing and less close calls. We're going to have more guys on base, more action. The MLB wants more action, and they want games shorter, and that's what all that does. And after that, there's a little bit more news. I don't know, Alex, I'll highlight this if you want to kind of give people some insight on that stuff. Just because I've been talking a little too much.
Yeah. Just to speed things along, because we are pushing our time a little bit.
Not a hard limit, but
That's okay.
Just to get off of baseball.
We can talk about sports all night.
We can.
So if you guys are down,
You guys are
be
down,
doing
listen.
this for like.
We'll just talk about
hours.
we'll just talk about how Kerfoot missed a penalty shot for 5 hours.
Yeah.
That'll be the
sounds
next
good.
episode.
All right. David Phelps retires. Solid career.
We loved him. He's
Love
a
him.
beauty.
Mm-hmm.
David Phelps is always welcome on the show if you're listening.
Come on, David. You know you want to.
Send us an email, David.
Matt Gage got optioned to Buffalo. It is what it is.
He
Happens.
always goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Do you remember Gage? He's around 30 years old, and he finally got his first chance with the Blue Jays in the 9th inning, and he did pretty good. I like what I saw from him. I actually went to one of the Buffalo games last year. I saw him play, and we
I'm sure we'll see him play another MLB game.
We don't
at
have a
some
ton
point.
of good prospects other than Gabby, but we got a really good team on the MLB side. That's what matters the most.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So Alek Manoah, great player, great guy, off the diamond as well.
Yes.
So there's a bit of a back and forth between him and a MLB Network commentator.
Cheers.
Cheers
Cheers to that.
by the name of Anthony Recker.
Is that his name or is it Andrew?
Anthony.
Yeah?
Yeah, Anthony.
Okay.
If you guys don't know Anthony Recker, he was just kind of
He's an MLB Network analyst.
Yeah,
That's
and-
really all we need to get into about it.
he was a player. That'll come into consideration in a little bit. Anyways, so he tweeted, Alek Manoah, I love you, Alek. Just show me you're willing to put in a bit more time in the gym and that you're going to be there consistently for a bit longer. I still love you. And that is the end of the
He's
tweet.
trying to be sweet with it.
Yeah.
Manoah doesn't take...
Manoah does not take that
Yeah.
from anyone, especially people that aren't currently playing.
Especially when you're one of the best pitchers.
Exactly. Like,
His methods are clearly fine.
yeah. But yeah, so Manoah tweeted back, hey, at Anthony_Recker, my job isn't to please you. Getting straight to the facts. You are an outsider. You don't know me or my work ethic. Yeah, you tell him, Alek. What I do in the gym has clearly worked. Check the numbers. Sucks you can't say the same for yourself. So, simply put,
Still
Manoah
lashing out.
kind of put him in his place there, which, well deserved. And if you take a look at Anthony Recker's MLB stats, he is in no position
to
be talking that much smack on Alek Manoah.
Manoah stood up for Kirk before, too.
Yeah.
Kirk's
and
been called overweight. He shouldn't be in the MLB. Kirk is a beast. If he is too heavy, then why is he such a good player?
exactly. Two of the best players on the team are...
It doesn't matter. If
And
he
it doesn't
can
matter.
produce, all I care about is production. If it starts
Exactly.
affecting his production, then it does matter. I'm not
Yeah.
going to act like being overweight is super healthy and a good choice.
Yeah.
But if they're okay and they're good players, then it doesn't matter. If it doesn't affect their work, that's my take on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so anyways, Yeah.
That's kind of that. That's the MLB
That's
drama.
the end of that.
There was some NHL Brad Marchand drama that we went over. So we've kind of covered the sports drama this week. That was recently. That was today's February 3rd, and that was February 1st.
Yeah.
That is right. So other than that, with baseball, there are some new City Connect jerseys coming out that Nike announced. They're streamlining the jersey designs.
New jerseys are always good news.
New jerseys are always pretty fun. And so we don't have all the designs out yet, but City Connect jerseys, if you guys remember, there's the yellow Boston ones, there was the Brew Crew Milwaukee Brewers ones. Those are just a few that are out already. But the Blue Jays are going to get one. Every team's going to get one. They're going to be slowly releasing them until 2024 instead of dropping all of them at once. And one more baseball thing is the World Baseball Classic has been getting closer. It's going to be happening all over. There's going to be some games in Arizona. There's going to be some games in Japan. There's going to be some games all over. That's why it's called the World Baseball Classic. And for Canada, we've got our guy Joey Votto from the Reds going. Anthony Rizzo's going from Italy. Alex,
Hell yeah.
Miguel Cabrera's going from Venezuela. Not that we have any connection to Venezuela, but Miguel Cabrera. Detroit Tigers, he's very good. And Jose Reyes is going from the Dominican. And the American roster is ridiculous. I just want to list off a few names for you guys really quick. There is Mike Trout, Nolan Arenado, JT Realmuto, Paul Goldschmidt, Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber, Mookie Betts, Tim Anderson. Like, the list goes on. Yeah. Wainwright, McNeil. They're going to win. The U.S. is going to win, basically. Yeah. It's crazy.
I have to say, though, it's not going to be as easy as the U.S. thinks it's going to be.
Well, Cuba is pretty
good. The Dominicans lineup is insane as well. Maybe not to the level of the U.S., but...
They have good players, but we have to factor in that not everyone goes and plays.
That's true, but I think their roster, are the rosters out?
Some of the rosters are out. Yeah. I'm familiar with the American one.
Because I think the Dominican one is out now, and I thought it looked pretty...
We can do a quick look.
Yeah.
Just while we're sitting here. Other than that, next week we'll touch on some of the Rogers Center updates, but... There's nothing too crazy. A lot of standing areas and things have been added, but I want to get into that. I want to save it for next week. So I'm sure a lot of people have already heard some of that. Yeah. I can't find the rosters right now, but that's not important. World Baseball. No one watches the World Baseball Classic anyway. With that, I really quickly wanted to get into the tennis, but mainly that covers the show. We want to talk about Maple Leafs and Blue Jays, their respective leagues, and then we're going to do some touching on other subjects. Australian Open. Did you guys watch any of it? Because I watched a lot of it, probably way too much.
You were for sure on that stuff.
I probably watched too much. My girlfriend was very mad that I was staying up into the very late hours watching tennis.
A bit too.
I like to follow Taylor Fritz. He was awesome for the U.S. I think Ojei Aliassime and Shapovalov for Canada. We love them because we're Canadian. And Aliassime is looking really good. I can't wait until he comes and plays here at the Sobeys, the tennis center here in Vaughan. But they both lost because everyone that knows tennis knows that if Djokovic is in a tournament, he's going to win the tournament. Which basically you have him on one side winning straight sets against every single person he comes up against. And then you've got some people on the other side, which Tsitsipas from Greece, Stefanos Tsitsipas. Anyone that knows tennis would know him. He's a good player, right? He's seeded third in the tournament with Djokovic seeded fourth. He's actually seeded higher because Djokovic didn't play a lot because of all of the drama with his vaccines, all that stuff. He didn't play some tournaments. But vaccines, no vaccines, Djokovic is ridiculously good. Tsitsipas played a great tournament, went to the final, and got smacked in about 2 hours. Djokovic won in straight sets. He won, I have it right here. He won 6-3, 7-6 in a tiebreak, and 7-6 in a tiebreak. It went down to the wire, And I gotta give it to Tsitsipas. He's looking like a really fun young player to watch. And he looked pretty bummed getting his plate trophy at the end for second place. But man, he's going places. I think he's going to be really good. And these guys have to drop off eventually. And we're seeing a lot more of that with Rafael Nadal going out in the second round. I was surprised. But he's been getting injured too much. He got injured at Wimbledon. But I know he likes to play on the clay in the French Open coming up in late May. So I'm excited to see him dominate that. Hopefully he's healthy. And that's that for tennis because I don't want to use up too much time. But I'm very excited for the upcoming majors, even though we've got a while to wait. And I'm also happy that it's done so I don't need to stay up until like 7 a.m. every night.
Yeah.
so that's something. Gavin, I wanted you to talk about some of the NBA. That's why you're here.
Right.
You watch NBA, we don't. I watch some Raptors. I love the boys.
Yeah.
You know, Scotty B.
Mm-hmm.
All of our guys.
Sure.
OG.
Spicy P.
Yeah.
Spicy P, exactly. Freddie.
Yeah.
So what's been happening with the NBA this week?
So,
and what have the Raptors been up to?
What's new with the Raptors is they recently won tonight against, remind me, let's see. It was...
They're playing the Rockets.
The Rockets they won against tonight. And the past two games didn't look too good. Lost in a nail-biter against it was the Utah Jazz, right? And as well as losing to, I really should.
You're an NBA expert, man.
Hey man, I wasn't prepared for that.
Everyone downvote in the comments on Gavin.
Stop.
Just while Gavin gathers his thoughts, I'd like to say.
But besides the games, I do know there are a couple of things happening coming towards the trade deadline. There are rumors of an OG trade. Right?
I've heard those. Yeah.
And
I'm scared. He's my favorite player. So.
Yeah, man. I would hate to see him go. He is a good player when he isn't injured, but the Raptors do have to look into making a change as they are a good team, but they really do lack the star power that they would have had with Kawhi Leonard that year. They won the finals and such.
And let me add, bro, that Scotty Barnes hasn't been shaping up to what he could be.
Yeah.
He might be in a sophomore slump.
Scotty Barnes has really been having a sophomore slump.
And also Fred VanVleet is not living up to what he could be this year, but I'm not worried because he's a beast. And don't get me wrong, guys. We have Gavin here to talk about the Raptors, but I watch the Raptors. Like I know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
I am worried about these guys because I don't think they have what I think this team is destined to make it to the first round every year and lose.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like because they do not have that it factor in them.
They don't.
They have all the pieces they need to be a good team besides the main man.
We see NBA teams in the finals, right?
Yeah.
Who was in there last year?
Last year, it was Golden State and the Celtics.
Right?
And
Name off some of those stars for me quick.
And both those teams have some big-time players. You know
Curry.
Golden State. They got Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They have everything they need to be that team that wins it. And it happens to be.
Yeah, and look at the Raptors when they won.
Right?
They had a lot of big names in Toronto. You need big names. I think of every pro sports league, the NBA, you need big names.
Yeah.
You cannot build a team
100%.
off of a bunch of small names that all help each other because they're always going to mess up in the end. You need to spend the money.
Exactly.
That's why these guys can demand such big salaries. People that watch other sports don't understand that you need to spend the money to win.
Yeah.
And you need a star. I watched a lot of that season where the Bucks won, and Giannis is ridiculously good.
Unstoppable.
And he's still good. I think he's probably the best player in the NBA. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can debate that one. But just, man, the passion that he plays with and he's only getting better, you know? Like, what was his problem? He wasn't good at
shooting.
He wasn't good at shooting. He was good at going to the net,
paint.
doing layups, but he wasn't good at shooting. And now he's a beast at shooting, bro.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot better.
Listen, the second you
The Raptors don't have the it factor. That's a really good point,
the
bro.
second the Bucks get Giannis Antetokounmpo hot on the floor from anywhere, the game's over.
Yeah.
You can see it anytime he plays. If he's hitting shots outside the paint and inside the paint, there's no stopping him. That's why Milwaukee's such a good team, and that's why they're able to contend and also win a championship, right? That's what most teams that do not make it to that level lack.
Well, look, the Raptors are not the most interesting to talk about right now. They're 12th in the East.
Yeah.
In the West, you've got the Nuggets, Grizzlies, and Kings, which is really weird to say.
Right.
Because it wasn't until that long ago that the Kings were the worst team imaginable. We went to the game last year. And in the East, battling with us, you got the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Nets, the Cavs. There's a lot of good teams up there, right? There's a lot of good teams in the East.
For sure. Compared to like 5-6 years ago, or even like less than that, the league is completely different now. The NBA has evolved into something different, and it does really look like any team is in a position to get far in
there's
the
a lot
season.
of parity. There's a lot of good players. A lot of young guys breaking out. What's the guy that was drafted alongside Scotty?
Cade Cunningham on Detroit.
Has he not been breaking out, I've been hearing?
I haven't heard much about him because Detroit...
What's the guy on Orlando?
Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad we avoided drafting him because we were rumored to draft him from the start. And a lot of people were like, what? Who's this Scotty guy, right?
Yeah.
But that was the choice to go with, right? I know he's having a sophomore slump, but you can see it in the way he plays.
Scotty's got passion, bro. Scotty loves the city. 100%. He spent his whole offseason in Montreal and seeing the sights. He loves Toronto.
I'm telling you.
I think we all should be very lucky to have a guy
he's
like
the future of the team.
He's the future of the team.
Big time. I'm telling you, if we have this guy here and he is willing to do the effort to become that player, as we see, right? And one thing that I do see compared to any other star that we had is he actually wants to stay here.
Yeah.
Because stars like Kawhi Leonard, Vince Carter end up leaving because of for Vince
money,
Carter.
Bro.
Yeah, money.
Yeah, money.
They don't care about anything.
Yeah.
Scotty likes
money.
the city.
Scotty loves the city. He's away from home. He was from Florida.
Yep.
It's a completely different environment for him, and he's young.
Yeah.
That's the first time we're seeing someone interested in playing Toronto like that.
Yeah.
He's doing
a lot of advertising deals here. Like he's really involved.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's committed to Toronto.
It's really good to see.
Yeah.
Like, if we were to draft Jalen Suggs, he wouldn't have wanted to stay.
Yeah.
And you can see that in it. Right?
We got lucky with Scotty, and I think the moral of this discussion is that we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. It's just a slump, and I think
he's a young guy.
Maybe later this season or next year, he's going to come back, and he's going to be the powerhouse that we know he can be.
He has all the tools to be that guy.
Yeah, and if Scotty Barnes and Fred get going again, I've been hearing a bit about Gary potentially leaving.
Yeah.
Just for the listeners that aren't as well versed, Gary Trent Jr. But if he doesn't leave, because that's not confirmed, there's a lot of rumors.
Yeah.
If we have a starting five of what? Scotty Barnes, Freddie,
Pascal,
Gary, and OG. That would be the starting five as of right now.
That's another thing.
That's pretty good, bro.
That's another thing the Raptors are lacking, though. They do not have anyone that is 7 feet tall and can play as a traditional center, right? Not too traditional, because the league has changed. There are centers in the league that are 7 feet tall that can rebound, play defense, move down the floor and space everything out and shoot as well. That's one thing we lack, which is height in the defensive end. We are getting out rebounded like crazy because of it. We do need someone that's bigger to get that down. It's the reason why we had Marc Gasol, if you think about it. I know it was during his veteran years, but he had a big time reputation as one of the number one defenders in the league, and that's ultimately what we needed from someone. We needed a defensive minded center, right? Because when it comes down to the game, that's really what controls the defense and the offense, because they have to grab those rebounds, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're a big body to set screens and such. Really important role that the Raptors, I do feel, are lacking, really.
Well, hey, to finish off on the Raptors, this week we've got the Grizzlies, the Spurs, and the Utah Jazz coming up. We'll be reporting on that on the next episode.
Yeah.
There is not that much going on in the hockey baseball world coming up. And since this is the first episode, for the viewers listening, we're going to be skipping the next week, and we're going to be back on the February 17th.
Yes.
Where we're going to be covering some pre-Super Bowl stuff, a lot of NFL stuff I want next week. Because this episode's been going a little longer than we were planning. I want to talk about NFL. I want to talk about Premier League because there's been a bit of a break right now. Chelsea played Fulham today. They both tied 0-0.
Right.
So nothing too crazy happening.
Nothing too crazy
in those worlds. We've got the Pro Bowl happening on Sunday.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, Tua Tagovailoa from the Miami Dolphins is going to be going, but there's really nothing too special. The backup behind Lamar Jackson for the Ravens is going. It's not sounding too interesting, and I think we've got a good amount of the Buffalo defense showing up. Josh Allen is still recovering from an injury. Quotes, I don't know if he's actually that hurt because he's playing in Pebble Beach 2 days later. And if I was him, I wouldn't want to go to the Pro Bowl either, so I don't blame him. But that's just my way of summing up what we're going to be touching on next week, as much as we will also be talking about Leafs and Raptors updates, and of course any new trades. So Gavin, what did you want to add? And then I think we're going to
I also wanted to add that I will be discussing closer to the trade deadline big news topics such as Kyrie Irving, controversial player these days because of his beliefs being public and such.
What did he
really
say?
Shouldn't matter.
Just to catch up everyone and me.
It was.
You can say it doesn't matter. It's not your beliefs.
I do not recall, but it was.
Oh, you don't know what he did?
It was something.
We'll touch up on it next.
We'll touch up on it for you guys.
Yeah, you gotta look into it. But he
We've
did.
had a few too many tonight.
Yeah, we have.
It's Gavin's birthday, so everyone drop some happy birthday Gavin comments if you made it this far.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah. Alex, do you have any closing comments for the listeners?
Yeah, I just wanted to add back to the Raptors just quickly. Pascal Siakam not being selected as an All-Star is a crime. He's been
having a good, pretty
he's
good
had
season.
He's had a great season. And if you look at some of the other guys.
They hate Toronto. The NBA doesn't like Toronto.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the players that have been selected for the All-Star from other teams, I can't really name them off the top of my head because I'm not that big into basketball. But there are a number of players there that have had far less impressive seasons than our boy Spicy P has had this year. So yeah, NBA, if you're listening, come on, man, do a bit better.
Yeah, man, gotta be inclusive of all the teams. Just because they're from Canada, playing for Canada doesn't mean they're not a part of the NBA at the end of the day.
America hates Canada.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
There's no money in the TV contracts over here, man.
Yeah.
We gotta rationalize things.
Literally, the one time I went to Florida just to buy stuff in Nike, this girl was like, Raptors winning the championship was a fluke, man. Shouldn't have happened.
That's what they'll always say.
They'll never win again. Just because they're from Canada and not from Florida. I'm sorry your Orlando Magic have never won a championship.
Well, I'm sorry your Orlando Magic are a Disney team. All right? This has been a good episode. I'm pretty happy with it. I just wanted to sum up the show by saying, like, we want to put some love into this show, and I think... Speaking for everyone here, I wanted to make a sports show that I would want to listen to. And I hope that everyone listening has enjoyed the first episode. We appreciate any feedback. I'm going to put this up on my channel. I'm going to put this up on Apple, Spotify. So, go show it some love. And we appreciate anyone sharing this because, we're trying to build something here. And most of all, I hope it's entertaining for you guys. Fun to hear some sports things, and if you want us to cover things, let us know. Yeah. Any closing thoughts, or is that it for the episode?
Hey man, I feel like if there's anyone that wants to leave a comment or such that they went through the entire thing for the first episode, we can shout you out. Probably.
If you went through this entire first episode, we greatly appreciate it because that was really cool.
it helps out a lot because we are trying to build a bit of fan bases and such.
And I'd like to add, if there's anything that you guys would like to hear about, you can let us know. And
I'd like to hear about how Jalen Suggs is much worse than Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, we heard a lot about that, actually.
We did hear a lot about that in up in the rafters at the Scotiabank area.
Yeah. But,
all right.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I believe that's
all right. Stay classy, everybody.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.